Hey everyone, it's Michaela from A Peaceful Pursuit. Today I am going to do a little story time. We are going to be talking about my journey into wanting to become a stay-at-home mom slash homemaker. So I'm going to go way back. I love these kind of like chatty, I wouldn't really call this a commentary video because I'm not trying to like make a point or anything. I'm just sharing my background in this. But I do hope that it's helpful for somebody who is seeking, maybe not sure of what they want to do, what their like quote unquote purpose is. As a follower of Jesus, our main purpose is to glorify God, to know Him, to make Him known. That's the basics, but how that works out and how He uses us in our lives is different for everyone. So when I say like purpose, I'm not meaning like worldly in that way, because I know that we know as followers of Jesus, we know what our purpose is ultimately, but yeah, we all have different lives and circumstances, so that plays out different. So I'm going to be telling my story, and I'm going to go all the way back to this high school basically high school, to start thinking about, I don't even remember when it was probably like sophomore or junior year. I went to public school, so they do all sorts of like career testing type things. And I don't remember how much we did it. I just remember doing it one time. And I would always get like caretaking careers, like nursing. I don't even know if like daycare provider was on there. Therapist, like occupational therapy, like stuff like that. I would just always get caretaking careers. And not that that was a bad thing, but I was just like, okay, like, I probably should go into something like that. And I just always remember thinking back then that learn to love something enough to do it, for 40 plus hours a week. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy anything or that anything didn't pique my interest. It was just the thought of doing something day in and day out like that sounded just horrible to me. But I didn't really think anything of it. Like I was 15, 16, 17, whatever. You're not really thinking that far ahead. Like they're trying to get you to think about that and what your next steps are, but you're really not thinking that far ahead. So I just remember like having that feeling, but I never really gave it much thought. So fast forward, I go to college for music therapy, which a lot of people don't know what that is. Basic explanation that I give is like, it's not like physical therapy at all. I always pull that into it. And it's not really even like OT either, but we can do many of the things that OTs and PTs and speech therapists do, but we use music instead to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. It's a fabulous field. I actually still I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's in many ways the Lord's work. I worked in a nursing home for a while and I just loved it. However, I started working at a gym daycare in 2017. So I was still in college and I started working there, and that was my first exposure to stay-at-home moms. Now, stay-at-home moms, like gym moms, they're definitely different. There's Christians everywhere, but most of them, I would say, were not. They were just like, they were married to very wealthy men, able just to stay home, able just to not work. Most of them have like super nice houses. This isn't everyone, I'm just making like a generalization, but that's the kind of crowd that I was exposed to, which I will get into that too. But that was my first exposure to that. And then I was like, I think I would really love to be home. I think I would really like that. And I'm not necessarily talking about like the typical like modern stay-at-home mom nowadays that just, I don't know, drops her kids off places, or like soccer mom, runs around, drinks Starbucks. Like, I'm not talking about that. And I wasn't even really thinking that back then, although my desires were more worldly than they are now. But it wasn't full on like, I need to have everything. I don't know. I just started to think like, wow, there's actually a lot of women that are staying home. Like, is this a real thing? Because in the career testing and stuff in school, that was never, ever brought up as an option. It was always like, what career are you going to pursue that, you know, makes money and it's professional and all that stuff. It was never even an option. And so having my first taste of that, I was like, I have never before experienced something like tugging on my heart so much that felt interesting and felt like it could be fulfilling, and like that's what I was supposed to feel towards like a career, I guess, and I never did. I was like, I could love something, I could, you know, whatever, like I said, but it was different. I was not a Christian at this point. I would have said that I was, but I was not. I was raised in the church and everything, so I've always like believed in God. You know, after being born again, like, you know that there's a difference. So I was not a Christian when this happened, but I don't know, it's all just been culminating to now. So let's see, my husband and I got married 2018, and then I got saved in 2020, May of 2020. And so still, up until this point, I just really wanted to be home. I finished school, I started working, and I was just like, oh, I would love to be able to work part-time and be home more, because I just felt so drained all the time. And I know, you know, this life is hard, and after the fall and everything in the Bible, like, work became hard. And it's hard no matter what you're doing, whether you're a man or a woman going out of the home to provide, you know, or working in the home. Like, there are hard things that we have to do. And so I was coming to terms with that, but also recognizing that this whole like hustle culture and working like 50 hours a week and not having healthy meals on the table, quality family time in the evening, because everybody's so tired. Not that we have a baby on the way, but we hadn't even had kids at this point. But it just, I don't know. I started thinking about, you know, and how I was raised, and we were busy every single night. Like, I always had stuff. And my parents did a great job. Like, family dinner was still important. We still ate together multiple times a week. But I will say, the older that we all got, I feel like that happened less. We would always eat together on the weekends, Sunday night for sure. So I'm really thankful for that. But we were so busy. I was in so many things. I was in like 2 different sports. I was involved in music heavily. And then that just continued on into college, because getting a music degree is absolutely insane. Like, it's so busy. So I would have class from like 8 to 8. And then I also had to work so that I could live. I was burnt out up until like last year, seriously. And I don't know, so I was just thinking about all of that, and I was just like, I understand that life is hard and there are hard things. There's also so many good things. But something isn't sitting right with me about this, like, work, and everything else is optional, you know? Like, pouring into your family, keeping your house actually clean. Or if you're like my mom, who is literally superwoman, your house is clean and you work crazy hours. I don't know how she does it. She sleeps like 5 hours a night. I'm not like that. I literally need at least 8 hours. So just being a different person, you know, thinking like, this is not working. This is not what I want for my life. And also, as a newer believer, only being saved in 2020, I was really wrestling with like, are these thoughts coming from God, or is this just like, am I just lazy? Do I just, you know, want to sit at home all day? Which obviously I knew that wasn't true, but I just felt like, because everyone else is like, well, this is just the way it is. Like, you have to pursue your career. You have to make all this money. You have to do all these things. And yeah, you still have to clean your house and get dinner on the table and everything. I was wrestling with that. Like, it's just something didn't sit right with me about that. And so I wrestled, and I still wrestle with it sometimes. You know, okay, what actually does God want for us? For me in my life, because I understand this can look different for everybody, how this plays out. It looks totally different. So that all happened between 2017 and 2020. And so 2020, after getting saved, you know, I really came to the realization that, yeah, I want to be at home. Like, when I have kids, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want my priority to be my family, my marriage, my home. Like, that's what I want to pour into. And so I got a different job that year, and that's the one I've been working since then. And it's a it's a caretaking job because that's what I always do. That's just what I'm drawn to, and I guess where I feel like I thrive the most. And it has been a major blessing of a job. I am just so thankful to God that He gave that job to me, and it's been just beautiful. Anyway, even having that job, I still knew that like my goal eventually was to be home. Even if I still had to make money, I was like, I will do it from home. Like, I will find a way. I don't know. Throughout all of this, so the past 2 years, so since getting saved, I've learned a lot, which of course, God works on our hearts. You know, He renews our minds, transforms them, makes our desires into what He wants them to be. I will admit to you, I'm still wrestling some of this. It's not as bad. Most days, like, I'm pretty confident in what where I land on homemaking and homemakers, but it's really hard. It's really hard to weed through all the cultural expectations that you just feel, and I don't know, it's just hard. It's a really it just takes time. I also learned about the term homemaker. I had never heard that before until, I don't know, it's within the last couple years I heard it. I just always thought like stay-at-home mom, but I had never heard of homemaker, which that raises it to the next level, because to actually make a home well requires intentionality, requires work, requires, sitting before the Lord and asking Him for like what areas you are sinning in that need to be changed so that your family can, function better and be poured into better. Love the term homemaker. I loved it when I heard about that. I was like, that is beautiful. But yeah, I've just been learning the value of that, and it just has become so apparent to me that to really take care of a home well, to actually clean it, which I'm not saying that homemaking it's not just cleaning and making sure your house is spotless and everything. It's more about the environment in your home and being present, keeping Jesus just present here too. It's more about that, the environment. However, the work part of it is keeping the house clean, keeping up on the laundry, decorating to an extent. Everybody's gonna have different levels of what they like for that, but making it, cozy physically, aesthetically for your family, learning how to cook well and cook healthy meals, all of that takes work. And I have just since realized and been utterly convinced that to do all of that well, you need time. And if you are working outside of the home 40 hours, that's just really hard. And I understand some people have to. I actually, like I've said, I have to. I do have to. I've been blessed with some opportunity to do some work from home now and after baby, so I'm just so thankful to God for that. But I do still have to work because that is how I'm helpful to my husband. Like we need those finances, and that's okay. So I'm totally not saying that you have to be home full time to be a homemaker. I'm just saying I just have realized how much work that actually is to do it well and with intentionality. And it just feels like most people around me are just pursuing careers, and it's like, well, if the house isn't clean, that's optional. Or if we just end up ordering food out all the time or eating frozen pizzas, like that's optional. Or marriage even, like the marriage is struggling, well that just is what it is. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot of things that I've had to think through, and I'm really thankful that the Lord has made it clear to me that there is value in being a homemaker. And I'm at a point, it took me a long time to admit to myself that I wanted to be home, and then to actually start saying it out loud to people, hard. Like I'm at a point now where it's easier, but I also have a baby on the way, and so I hate that, because I feel like, well, I don't hate that I have a baby on the way, but I hate that, having children, people are more understanding if you're gonna stay home, but I'm also still preparing myself for the questions of like, well, when are you gonna go back? Because it's just assumed, like people just assume that you're gonna put your kid in daycare and you're going to pursue your career, when in reality I'm more of like business minded, I guess, and I would just like to provide financially from home so that we can live our life, but that my family is my top priority. And so I'm already preparing myself because, you know, I mean, this is our first baby, so people maybe won't ask for a while, but if we're like on number 3 or something and I'm still home, which I plan to be, Lord willing, I'm just preparing myself for like, oh, are you gonna, you know, go back when they go to school or whatever? And I just wish it was more accepted, especially for women who don't have kids, because even not having a kid right now, we have 2 dogs. I could easily have been working very part-time outside of the home for the past 4 years and been plenty busy in the home. Like, it just, like, without kids, just with 2 dogs. Without the dogs, you know, I would have probably worked a little bit more, but that's just me personally, because I do like to like be doing things. But with the 2 dogs and the house and everything, it's like, I don't know. I don't feel like I would ever run out of things to do, like things to learn, like cooking and, you know, figuring out cleaning routines and all that good stuff. It just takes so much time and intentionality, and yeah. So I don't really know where I'm going with that part of it, so I'm gonna steer it back to how this is about like my journey into this. But it's taken honestly a good 5 years for me to be at a point where I'm comfortable being like, this is what I want to do, and this is how I feel God is going to use me, you know, for glorifying Him, making Him known to my children, to anybody who comes in my home, that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting, and I love when I see like Jordan Lee Dooley on Instagram. She will share things periodically how she felt the same way. That's kind of what I think kickstarted this topic for this video, because she posted a reel, I don't know, a week or 2 ago, and she was like, I just remember in high school taking career tests and everything, like going to a job every day just sounded so boring. And then she, you know, just sat down and realized like she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I don't know, she didn't go into like homemaking or anything, but yeah, she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but she wanted to still contribute financially while being able to put her family first. And that's what kind of kickstarted this. And I was like, yes, that's exactly how I felt back then and feel now. And I just think it's such an issue that it isn't, I don't know. I feel like people love to say that, you know, women should have the choice, and they believe that and everything, but a lot of people really don't. Because if you were to stay home, especially without kids, there's such a stigma around that. And even if nobody in your life is saying anything to you, we all feel it. Like, we all feel this cultural push that our value is in how much money we make and what we're doing. It's like one of the first questions everybody asks, you know, with small talk, well, what do you do? You know? And so I just think that is so sad, because we need to not see value in money and like what we achieve. I just, success to me is so much more than that, you know? It's having a thriving relationship with God. It's having a thriving marriage, and then it's having a thriving family life. And of course, things happen. We live in a fallen world. We can't control anything, really. I mean, we wake up and make decisions, and I understand that, but bigger picture, we're not in control. And yeah, but just being good stewards of our bodies and our time, just all of that to me is so much more successful than like, how much can I work in a day and how much money can I make, you know? Money, I mean, money at the end of the day, like, we have to have it. We have to have it to live. We have to have it to buy food, all that stuff. That's a topic that I'd like to get into more, because I've heard a lot of people, Jordan Lee Dooley being one of them, and then also now that we're a family, Elisha and Katie, they've said this too. They're like, money is a tool. I haven't read a lot of like money books, but it's probably something that I should look into, because I know that God has had finances on my heart and just living frugally and stuff, but I want to have a more biblical understanding of it, and I don't feel like I do. What I do know is that, you know, putting value in it is not correct. So I'd love to explore the idea of it being more of a tool type of a thing. I think I'm gonna stop rambling, but if you relate to any of this, let me know down below, or if you have any thoughts that you want to add. I would love to hear them. I just love talking about this so much, because I think it's so important, And I want women to know that this is a valuable option. And, you know, even if you have to go out of the home to make an income for your family, I know that some people do. I have to, but I know, you know, there's single moms and just different situations that happen. You know, that doesn't mean that you're not a homemaker. I think it's all about your priorities and, you know, who you're seeking first. And yeah, everything flows from that. So I think that's what I'm trying to get at. But this is my story, how I wanted to, or how I kind of figured out that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and then later homemaker. Like, I prefer that term just because there's so much that goes into that, and I love that. If you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. We'd absolutely love to have you. We do chats like this from time to time, and I think that's it. So hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in my next one.